Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Schlage 12-631. This is a deadbolt only from the B600, B700, B800 series deadbolts, both single and double cylinder, probably thumb turn only, probably key one side only function, classroom function I'd imagine. But this is the bolt only, and this bolt only is just that. It's not uncommon to sell the bolt only. You might have a reason to have to break the deadbolt to get into the door, intentionally or unintentionally, but the rest of the lock is okay, but this has been damaged, so you'd replace it only. This is a 1-inch projection sort of bolt, which is typical and common, most certainly for commercial deadbolts, having a 1-inch throw. Speaking of dimensions, let's take some. This is 2 3/4 is the back set. The edge of the door to the center of the deadbolt would be 2 3/4, which in this case is the center of that hub. This will have a 2 1/4 inch tall faceplate. That's 1 1/8 wide. 1-inch projection. Some people ask for the height of the bolt once in a while, about 13/16, and it has a width of about 9/16 or so, I would say. This is in the 626 finish, which means satin chrome. It technically means satin chrome over brass. I don't know if that's a brass faceplate that's there. Used in the 600 series, the 6, 7, and 800. The only difference between those three series is the cylinder platform that would be installed. The B600 is the basic that would come with a standard cylinder, like a C or an FG or an S123, something that's not unusual. You get into levels of restricted keyways, Primus, Primus, XP, you're going to elevate to a 7 or an 800. I don't keep those memorized, that's just a reference to the catalog, but this is a B600 platform. So let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at all of the supporting documentation. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, here's the item we are looking at. Let's take a look at some photos that we have. There is the bolt itself, side view, also showing you the label that's here. Fire door hardware needs to be listed most certainly, which means it's been tested. And there is a file on record at the testing laboratory, which in this case would be Underwriter's Laboratory, with a record locator, which is probably the 9NA3. If you called them up and gave them that, they ought to be able to trace that back to their customer and the fire test information that this was tested on, showing the bolt extended. Back to the fire information, you'll also see the face of the latch bolt. It will have a UL and an F, but you'll take note that that is a capital letter F, not a lowercase f. That actually matters. If you were to look at the face of a Schlage latch bolt from maybe the 90s or before, you'll see lowercase f's, and that means the hardware has been tested to neutral pressure. It's a means by which they test hardware in terms of how an actual fire and the dynamic forces that are created in a fire impact or exert force and energy onto the door itself. Uppercase F means it's positive pressure. It's a more accurate way, or a more accurate standard by which to test fire doors. So if you see a capital letter F, that means it's positive pressure compliant, which also means it's neutral pressure. But if you see a lowercase f, it's neutral pressure compliant, but not positive pressure. Just fun fact. This does not mean the only hardware on the door could be this deadbolt. That's not what that means. This can be installed on a fire door, but this alone would not. This alone, in fact, would not give you a fire door. Fire doors have to be three things: self-closing, free swinging, and self-latching. And obviously a deadbolt doesn't self-latch. So that's why this wouldn't work. We also have a cut sheet that is here that we can take a look at. 12-631 shows up here. 1 1/8, 2 1/4, 2 3/4. with a 1-inch housing. That means the body is 1 inch. You're going to need to drill like 1 1/16 inch hole to comfortably fit that in there. Shows up in the B series part of the catalog, and then specifically the B6, 7, and 800 series. It falls in as well there. We had talked about the difference between those. Let's see if we can determine what that is. Here's the extended description information, everything we've covered. Let's go to the manufacturer's page, which was the link as seen here. Then we'll pull up the full catalog, which is here, full line product catalog. And we'll do a Control F or find function on our keyboard for 12-631 when this loads. And here it is, 12-631. Okay, so B600. Let's see what we can see there. Okay. Just for the sake of talking about the different platforms. Yeah, here we go. B600, Schlage's toughest heavy-duty Grade 1 deadbolt. Great. It's a nice looking lock. It is indeed heavy-duty. The 700 has got a Primus XP. The 800 is Primus XP, but it's UL 437. And what that means, UL 437 is a standard by which when locks, specifically cylinders, are tested to that standard, they have passed a certain number of criteria. And those criteria are literally how many minutes of attempts to break, damage, wrench, crowbar, hammer a lock it survives. I don't know how many minutes it is. I've not read the UL 437 standard in a long time. It's trying to pick the lock. It's basically trying to bypass and destroy the lock. It's even a salt test. I think they will expose the hardware, specifically the cylinder, to high concentrations of salt for a specific amount of time. It could have 10,000 times the amount of salt and then do it for 24 hours, which will emulate a 5-year period. That's all fictional data. I don't recall what it is, but that's how they do it. And it'll be found compliant with that. So if you want the most robust, the absolute most durable to break-in attempts to bypass, you will always want to select a UL 437 listed product, always. And that's going to be, in this case, it's also going to be the construction of the deadbolt, so as to aid in the resistance that the cylinder can put up to these attacks. All right, since we've come to the manufacturer's page, you can also view here all of the other Schlage products we sell by means of this horizontal navigation, the manufacturer's website. I did point out to you the catalog, which is here. This is a page that is full of encyclopedic data. If I really zoom out, you can see there's dozens of documents here, dozens more here. If I zoom to a proper resolution, I'd like to point out to you the service manual. These are exploded parts diagrams of practically everything Schlage. If you are looking for a part, you could certainly load this manual, and we'll wait for that to load. In the meantime, I'll show you Master Template Index. If you're looking for machining information for Schlage hardware, it'll be here. A document that I like a lot is the Cylinders and Key Blanks Quick Reference Guide. Doesn't have anything to do with the 12-631, but if you're looking for the part number of an Everest key blank, you'll find it here. 35-272 is the standard Everest key blank. Back to the service manual. Here it is. B660. There's a parts drawing for a B660. Part number 9. Deadbolt with screws, 12-631. That's the standard backset for this. You can also do a 2 3/8 backset as well. Then, for fun, I showed you that product catalog. Well, if you want to see what Schlage was doing in 1936, that would be the catalog for you. This is an actual catalog, a physical catalog that I have in my catalog collection that we have scanned. Schlage was in business for probably 15 years by this point, but it is the earliest version of a catalog that I've ever seen. Lloyd Siebler, who used to work in the Schlage Master Key department, probably ran it, I think, in the late 90s or 90s and early 2000s. I believe he told me that he has seen an older version, but it's interesting. You want to see what Schlage was making 85 years ago? Here's a great document. Originally located in San Francisco. Neat document. I also have a 1952, 1959, 61, 62, 70s, and early 80s catalogs there as well. As I get more of them, I add to my little collection here. It's fun to be able to go back in time. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. If you have any questions on the Schlage 12-631 bolt or any other Schlage product, please feel free to reach out to us. Schlage is a company that I think most people in our industry, distributors, are very familiar with, the part numbers and whatnot, because of the massive installed base of Schlage locks. So we're all very familiar with it because we bump into it often. However, Schlage has an exceptional level of technical support that I believe is cultural within the company under the Allegiant umbrella, because that same excellent tech support is shared by her sister companies, Schlage, LCN, Von Duprin, Glenn Johnson, Ives, Zero. I'm forgetting somebody. I'm forgetting many companies, but it's exceptional technical support from those folks. If you have any questions on this or any other Schlage product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.